camping trips and hiking expeditions. Was she experienced with those waters? Hutchins asked. She'd been kayaking in the Everglades for years, Grant replied. Started when she was in high school. She was careful, always checked weather conditions, always told someone where she was going. That was what had made Kira's disappearance so baffling. She'd followed all the safety protocols, launched from a popular access point, and planned to return before dark. Her friend Jenna had left early for family obligations, but Kira had wanted to get more footage for her YouTube channel. She'd been excited about exploring a backcountry area that some locals had recommended. These locals who told her about the fishing spot, Hutchins said. Any idea who they were? Grant shook his head. She mentioned stopping at a bait shop, asking about good locations for filming. Someone told her about a place where Big Tarpon liked to hide. She was excited because it was supposed to be completely untouched by tourist traffic. They pulled into Chokoloskee Marina, where dozens of boats bobbed at their slips. The marina served as a gateway to the 10,000 islands, the maze of mangrove. Islands and channels that stretched south toward Florida Bay. Grant had been here many times over the past year, showing Kira's photograph to anyone who would look, asking if they'd seen her or remembered her being here. The smell of diesel fuel and salt water filled the air, mixing with the sounds of halyards clanging against masts and the distant hum of boat engines. Grant noticed how several boat captains nodded respectfully at Officer Hutchins as they walked down the dock. The Marine Patrol clearly had a strong presence here. Let me show you something, Hutchins said, pulling out his phone and bringing up a marine chart of the area. This is where your daughter's phone showed her last position. Grant studied the screen, comparing it to the printout Detective Chen had given him. The coordinates placed Kira deep in the backcountry, in a section of narrow channels that wound between unnamed mangrove islands. It's a tricky area, Hutchins continued. Lots of channels that look identical, easy to get turned. Around, the locals call it the maze, for good reason. Even experienced boaters have gotten lost back there. Detective Chen mentioned that currents could have carried the phone out to sea, Grant said. Hutchins nodded, though his tone suggested some skepticism. It's possible, but 8 miles is a long way for something to drift naturally. More likely, the phone was moved by something else, maybe caught in a boat's prop wash or tangled in fishing gear. These commercial fishermen drag nets and lines all through these waters. They began their canvass of the marina, stopping at each boat to question the captains and crew. Grant had done this so many times over the past year that he'd memorized. His daughter's vital statistics: 24 years old, 5'6", blonde hair, blue eyes, last seen wearing a blue tank top and khaki shorts. Most of the people they spoke with were sympathetic, but claimed they hadn't been operating in that area a year ago. Grant felt his familiar frustration building with each dead end. The passage of time had erased memories, and the seasonal nature of the charter business meant that many of the people who might have been working a year ago had moved on. Then Hutchins stopped abruptly, shading his eyes against the afternoon sun. Wade, he called out. A man in his early 50s looked up from where he was working on a boat engine. He was lean and weathered, with the kind of deep tan that came from decades of working on the water. Faded tattoos covered his forearms, and he wiped his hands on a greasy rag as he approached. Grant noticed the boat's name painted on the stern. Second Chance. Troy, the man said, with an easy smile. Didn't expect to see Marine Patrol down here on a Sunday. I'm actually here on a different matter, Hutchins said, gesturing to Grant. Wade, this is Grant Westfall. His daughter went missing in the backcountry about a year ago. Grant, Wade Corbin here is one of the most experienced captains working these waters. Been fishing the 10,000 islands for what, 20 years? 23, Corbin corrected. He extended a grease-stained hand to Grant. Sorry to hear about your daughter, sir. These waters can be unforgiving. Grant shook the man's hand, noting the firm grip and the direct eye contact. Corbin had the confident bearing of someone who'd spent his life working in challenging conditions. Wade, take a look at these coordinates, Hutchkins said, showing him the phone screen. Ring any bells. Corbin studied the GPS location, his brow furrowing slightly. That's way back in the maze. Tricky spot for someone who doesn't know the area. Good fishing if you can find it, but most folks don't venture that far back. He looked at Grant with what appeared to be genuine curiosity. Your daughter was a fisherman, a blogger, Grant replied. She ran a YouTube channel about Florida outdoor adventures. Someone at a bait shop told her about a spot where big tarpon hide. Ah, Corbin nodded knowingly. Yeah, the old-timers sometimes share those secret spots with pretty girls, trying to impress them. Happens more than you'd think. He paused, seeming to consider something. You said her phone just turned up. Grant explained about the commercial fisherman's discovery, watching Corbin's face for any reaction. The captain listened intently, occasionally glancing at Hutchkins. 8 miles offshore, in a crab trap, Corbin repeated slowly. That's something. The currents back in those channels are strange, especially during spring tides. I've seen stuff get sucked out from the backcountry and end up in the Gulf. Found a kayak paddle once, 15 miles from where the owner lost it. Is that what you think happened? Grant asked eagerly. The phone got pulled out by currents. Corbin shrugged. It's the most logical explanation, unless he trailed off, shaking his head. Unless what? Nothing. Just thinking out loud. Corbin seemed to come to a decision. Listen, Mr. Westfall, I feel for you. I really do. How about this Sime not booked tomorrow morning? Why don't I take you out there? We can retrace those waters. Maybe search some areas the official crews might have missed. Grant's heart leaped. You'd do that? Sure, I know those channels like the back of my hand. Maybe we'll spot something everyone else overlooked. Corbin glanced at Hutchkins. That is, if Marine Patrol doesn't have any objections. Hutchkins actually smiled. I think that's a great idea. Wade knows those waters better than our patrol boats. If anyone can help you understand what might have happened out there, it's him. They arranged to meet at 7 the next morning. Corbin refused to accept any payment, insisting it was the least he could do for a fellow father. As they walked back to Hutchkins' vehicle, Grant felt a mixture of hope and apprehension. Good man, Wade Hutchkins said as they drove away. He's helped us out a few times over the years. Knows things about these waters that aren't on any chart. He seems very knowledgeable, Grant agreed, watching the marina recede in the side. Mirror, oh he is. If your daughter ran into any trouble out there, Wade would know the likely scenarios. Weather patterns, current flows, dangerous spots where someone could get into trouble. Hutchkins paused at a stop sign, looking at Grant. Seriously, fair warning, though. After a year, he might find things you're not prepared to see. Grant's jaw tightened. I need to know what happened to her. Whatever it is, I understand. Just prepare yourself. The Gulf doesn't usually give back what it takes. The fact that the phone surfaced at all is unusual. They drove the rest of the way in silence, Grant's mind focused on tomorrow's search with Captain Corbin. The man had seemed genuinely sympathetic, and his knowledge of the waters was obviously extensive. For the first time in months, Grant felt like he was making real progress. He thought about calling his ex-wife in Colorado, but decided against it. Sarah had moved on, remarried, tried to forget. The weekly therapy sessions had helped her find closure. She'd said, but Grant couldn't let go, not without answers, as Hutchkins dropped him back at his car at the sheriff's office. The officer handed him a business card. My personal cell's on there. If you need anything, or if Wade finds something tomorrow, call me directly. I'll make sure the right people know about it. Grant thanked him and headed home to prepare for tomorrow's search. He'd need water, sunscreen, maybe some sandwiches. His hands shook slightly as he packed, remembering how Kira used to tease him about over-preparing for their fishing trips. "Dad, we're going out for 3 hours, not 3 days," she'd laugh, watching him fill coolers with supplies. Tomorrow he'd be on the same waters where she'd disappeared, with a captain who knew every channel and current, maybe find some trace of what had happened to his daughter in that remote maze of mangroves and dark water. Chapter 4. Into the maze. Grant arrived at Chokoloskee Marina at 6:45 a.m. The morning air thick with humidity and the promise of another scorching day. Wade Corbin was already on his boat, checking equipment with the methodical efficiency of a professional charter captain. The Second Chance was a 28-foot center console built for serious offshore work, with twin outboards and a sturdy T-top for protection from the sun. "Morning, Mr. Westfall," Corbin called out cheerfully. "Beautiful day for a search. Calm seas, good visibility."